I've read before we started recording that Scotty Taylor's going to be out for a couple of weeks for Hull FC, and I was looking at their side and thinking, in this faster, fewer breaks version of Super League that we're seeing, Scott Taylor would be huge for Hull FC.
Ideal, yeah.
The only forward they've got, I think, who will play, other than the hooker, will play long minutes. So, because of him being out, and Salford, when they are at full strength, are still, a side who play great rugby, I'm going to go Salford. Salford by 7 for me, which won't be good for some of the people we might see on the Gogglebox, but we'll find more out about that next week, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to say Salford as well. I think coming out of this lockdown period, I think the team that is more together and united is going to be the better. They're going to do better initially. I think they've got that more cohesive thing. I think Salford have got that. They've got that sort of, that is part of their DNA in terms of how the coaching changes affected Hull FC remains a question.
Yeah, the first game for last, it's kind of...
Yeah, first or last, yeah.
We don't... It's hard to... It's hard to know what impact that'll have, because he hasn't really had a great deal of time on the training paddock with the players.
No, and he won't have be used to that head coaching role at that club yet, and he won't have been able to impart much of his spin on it. I don't know if they're planning on keeping him if they've said anything more about keeping him for the rest of the season, or if it's
the plan, yeah.
If they have got someone in mind. I don't know. I suppose it's a kind of it's yours if you do well enough, I suppose, is the attitude, I would imagine. But
yeah, I think he's got an audition opportunity. I think if we were seeing the season run on into December or January, like some of the suggestions, then probably his audition wouldn't have lasted as many games. But I think he's going to get to the end of the year now, because there's still time to bring someone in before Christmas to start pre-season for next year.
Yeah, so I think Salford and their togetherness will do that one for me.
Okay, following that, Sunday 3:15 is Wakefield versus Wigan. Simple for me on this one. Wigan will win by 16 points. I am confident. As soon as I say I'm confident, I start to feel trepidation. But ultimately, I think Wigan have got a better class of player.
Yeah, I think quality is a strong point for me, so I'm picking Wigan as well. But I also think that because home advantage is non-existent now, I think that was the only way you might go with Wakefield on this one. But as the Rocket will be non-mobile, I think it's got to be Wigan.
Wakefield fans can go and be in the bar at the Mobile Rocket to watch this one. They've opened up ticketing for that, I think, or maybe just first come first served, I'm not sure, but an opportunity to go and enjoy the game in the Cats Bar or whatever it's called. Sunday 6:30, the final game, the headline game, Leeds versus St Helens.
Wow, this is the shootout. This could be an interesting one if both sides, if the last 20 minutes lead show up against St Helens playing as they were, this could be a real thriller to watch. I've gone for Saints. I just think they had too much for too long yesterday, and I think there weren't as many questions for me, and I think they are probably a gear above already in terms of their performance.
Yeah, I agree. I've gone Saints by 4. I think when the crunch matters come in this game, I think Saints will be the team that are able to shut the other team out. I think both teams can get on a roll and score some points potentially with what they've got going forward. I think they both showed that as well yesterday. But I just see, like you say, Saints being a notch ahead, and that ability, I think, to shut Leeds down, that I don't think Leeds will have the ability to do the same.
Partly with Saints as well, if they need someone to come up with something, they've got 3 or 4 viable options, whereas Leeds are looking at 2. So I think they've just got those extra bits of firepower that if someone has an off day, they can absorb it because they've got extra people that can step up of that higher quality.
Yeah, and Conrad Hurrell's got a week for his thigh to recover, but he seems to always have an issue in that sort of area, doesn't he? So that's a concern, an injury concern for Leeds too. I'm just leaning towards Saints all the way on that one. In the NRL, what we're going to start reverting back to is just talking about the Brit pick fixtures, but obviously if people want to send in fan views on the other games that don't involve any of the British players, we're completely, enjoy talking about those two next week. But for the ones to call out for everyone, the Brit picks, which are it's the Dragons versus the Roosters Thursday at 10:50am. Who knows? That forward Hall might score a try. Rabbitohs versus Broncos Friday at 10:55am. Obviously, both sides are going to be putting forward a British player there for us to enjoy. Both they're very different players, but both impressing so far this year. Got the Storm versus the Bulldogs Saturday at 6am. It might be worth getting up to watch how good Luke Thompson might be against a Cam Smithless Melbourne Storm, but I think it'll just be another backs to the wall situation for Luke Thompson's Bulldogs. And then the Panthers versus the Raiders Saturday at 10:35am. The headline game in the NRL this weekend will feature our four guys at the Raiders who all made impressive contributions last weekend. So let's see if that can continue against the team at the top.
Yeah, we have had some breaking news coming while we've been on air, which I'm just going to interrupt us with. May as well put it here if nowhere else. Toronto have released a statement in reaction to the statement that they have to negotiate a new participation agreement. And the crux of it is at the bottom here, and it says, Toronto Wolfpack majority owner David Argyle recognises that in order to move the club forward, he would need to transfer ownership of the club and write off his personal loans. We are currently leading discussions around a takeover with potential ownership groups from the US and the UK. In these discussions, the club have made it very clear that new owners would need to honour all payroll commitments and future contractual obligations. We expect these discussions to develop. We expect to develop these discussions further in the next 48 hours, and we'll provide an update in due course. So, sounds like some pretty big news that David Argyle will looking to transfer his ownership and ownership groups, plural, from the US and the UK. So that'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah, serious update there. So I'm sure people will get the reaction in on that for us to talk about next week, when you'll also hopefully get your fan views in on the Google form for the Super League Round 8 and NRL Round 13 matches. We're now going to move into the show wrap-up. Okay, Tim. Wrap up is back to its traditional format now, so it starts with a 3-question quiz. And given the traditional show structure has returned, I thought we'd return to a traditional quiz, a birthdays quiz.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm going to give you 3 players, 3 clues for each player, and of course they all have a birthday this week. So, question 1. Who turns 35 on Monday the 3rd of August, the day we are recording? This man is celebrating his birthday. So, clue 1. Crosscode International, who has won 2 NRL Grand Finals with 2 different sides.
Do
you want a stab or do you want the next clue?
Sonny Bill.
It is Sonny Bill Williams, yeah. The remaining clues were he played domestic league and union in both hemispheres during his career, and that his NRL titles came in 2 separate spells of playing rugby league, and he won Rugby Union World Cups in 2 separate spells playing that code 2. Okay. Player 2, question 2. Who turns 26 on Tuesday the 4th of August? So whilst most people will be listening to this man will be celebrating his birthday. Clue A. A big forward who currently plays in the second row for Salford in Super League.
Tyrone McCarthy.
No. Clue 2. His past clubs are the Eels, the Knights, and Wakefield Trinity.
Oh, I can see him. This is not. Yeah. Paulie.
Yeah, the final clue was 2 NRL clubs, 2 Super League clubs, but only one name twice. And question 3.
I'll tell you what, with that one, I was struggling to remember which way round that swap deal had been.
What, which way round he had his name?
No, which way round him and whoever it was he swapped with. I couldn't remember which end of it he was on.
Well, that's because he went on loan from Wakefield to Salford, then went back to Wakefield while signing for Salford for this year.
Yeah.
Do you know on his Wikipedia page it says his name is Paul Paulie.
So good they named him Thrice.
Okay, finally, who turns 33 on Wednesday the 5th of August? First clue, Irish international fullback who has taken in brief spells on each side of the city of Hull.
Irish fullback. No, more clues.
Second clue, he made his NRL debut with West Tigers in 2005, 1 month after his 18th birthday.
Quinlan?
No, it isn't Adam Quinlan. The final clue, he resigned from his Hull FC contract 1 year into a 2-year deal, then turned up at St Helens as a mid-year injury cover signing in 2014, and then he turned up for St Helens as a mid-year injury cover signing again in 2015.
Oh, had lots of concussions.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah. No,
Shannon McDonnell.
That's there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, that one was designed to separate out there. We've been a bit tougher. I mean, it didn't feel like he should only be 33, but I feel like we're getting back round to the start of to the news section of the show when he's older than that. What about your recommendations for us? Any lockdown cold brew teas?
Yeah, so what one do we had a lemon sherbet this week and a green tea. That was nice. That came through the post last week. That was quite a good fun one that's been sitting in the cold brewer. And there's a Bucks Fizz one I'm waiting to try as well because the Bird and Blend tea company had just released.
Are you making your mind up on whether you want to drink it or not?
Hey, yeah, we'll be ripping the skirt off the packet this week to try that one. Yeah, so that was that one. If you have small children that you end up looking after, I can thoroughly recommend a ridiculously sized Super Soaker as a fun and socially distanced activity. So we looked after Heather's niece and nephew a couple of weeks ago, and the Super Soaker was a big hit.
For you?
In more ways than one. Oh, yeah. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I think they did too. I mean, you know, they weren't screaming at each other for 5 minutes, so that was always a bonus.
Good stuff. I mean, my week this week has involved some decorating and I don't know if it's classed as upcycling if you just paint something. Is that upcycling? But the people who lived here before us,
I am the wrong person to ask on that one.
Left some sun loungers that were looking ropey. Like they looked like if you were to lie on them, they would just crumple and collapse. But after painting our fences, I had a bit of paint left over, so I thought, I'll give a lick of paint on these sun loungers, and they look good as new. So hopefully they are good. And I mean, I'm not going to lie on them. Let's face it, you know, ginger boy me, it's not going to happen. But Emma might like to lounge on them. But other than using paint to make things better, I was struggling for a recommendation, and then last night, whilst I was just looking for something to put on whilst I was writing the rundown, I spotted that BBC Two are re-showing Heroes, which
yes, I saw that
series from the mid-noughts that started really strongly and then
first series was brilliant, and then there was the writers' strike midway through the second series, and it just all fell apart.
Yeah, they were one of those series that made the wrong choice with the writers' strike, and they chose to basically wrap up a series quickly rather than pausing the series and actually completing the character arcs. So what they did is wrapped it all up, kind of introduced some new characters and closed out some characters